a lot of demos in this. My name is Mikkel Garcia. It is spelled M-I-K-K-E-L. I'm a software consultant, and I've been working on generative content for the last 4 years, roughly. And I want to talk today about what I see coming, the deepfake revolution, and it kind of blurs with other generative content. So let's get started. First, we have to define what deep generative content is. It's also called synthetic media, and it's real-looking content that's generated with artificial neural networks. So the idea is you have some prior, which can be noise, just like a collection of 0 to 1 floating point numbers, say like 64 of them. And then you do some multiplication and addition over and over in whatever form you want to do, and you end up with a realistic looking image. So that's what generative content is. And there's different ways to train these generators. Deep fakes, on the other hand, it's generative content that's meant to be deceptive. It's like face swaps. So here we see an image of Steve Buscemi. His face is on some actress, I'm not sure who. It's from this project, Face Swaps by Deepfakes, and it's, I guess it's open source, so you can create your own Steve Buscemis. So we can talk about what is happening here. So what we're doing is, how I like to understand deepfakes is we're playing a game. Humanity's playing a game. You are an interpreter. In this diagram, you're C, and you're getting content between real content and generated content. And you're trying to determine, is this real or is this fake? The machine is always trying to create more and more deceptive content, and C is always trying to convince you what is real. So I like to think of it as a game, and we're moving towards an equilibrium point in a game. So here's a impressionist, and I'll just let this play.
I'm Jim Eskelman, and I wrote a poem about what it feels like to be an impressionist. Is anything more sad and lame, contemptible, beneath disdain, in short, provoking of disgust, and being an impressionist, a third-rate, even fourth-rate skill. The definition of cheap thrill. Like watching farm equipment rust is watching an impressionist. Relic from a distant day that long since...
Oh, sorry. I wanted to pause it there. Let me just get to a frame that I like here. So we see that what it's doing is masking out a portion of the image, selecting the features of the face, re-rendering that as a different face, and then putting that back in the image. And here's some software packages and links to do that yourself if you're interested in this kind of thing. There's a Chinese app. It's on the App Store, and you can download it. I'm not sure if it's on Google Play or if you have to get it from a separate app store. But what they do is just put people's faces into movies. So here,
you can call me Sam if you want. My mother calls me Sam.
It's not going to get any easier, you know. You're going to have to defend yourself.
Why didn't you get up and fight?
I'm a coward.
Oh, that's really interesting. It's a viral sensation in China and tops the app charts. So there's a lot of money to be made if you create an app with this type of technology. So here's where the line starts to blur. We get a flat image and an audio file of Albert Einstein. And what these researchers did was reanimate him.
The common language of science. The first step towards language was to link acoustically or otherwise commutable signs to sense impressions.
So that's not quite a face swap. That's something else entirely. That's taking an image, a still image, and making it on top of it to still deceive, because if it was done well enough, someone would not know that that was not a video. So let's move on from there to generative images. I'm just going to play this. This is what I showed earlier, the generator from a project called StyleGAN, and it's interpolating between the noise vectors. So it's going through the entire space of of the layers of the network. So let's just watch this for a bit because it's entrancing. See glasses show up, people smile, ages change. And it's very smooth interpolation between points of realism. Well, maybe every point is realistic looking enough at least. So that's really entrancing to just leave on, and I have to stop it. But there's a lot of websites that popped up from this. There's this person does not exist, this cat does not exist. That's one of them. Getting ahead of myself here. Yes, I'll just type it. Let's go to this cat does not exist. So every time you refresh this page, you get a new cat. Some of them look pretty realistic. And this one is insanely scary. So sometimes you'll have things in your data set because the way it works is the generator is trying to replicate the input data set, and an input data set has cats, and sometimes it'll have humans holding cats. So in this case, maybe it's a human somewhere in there. Maybe there's multiple cats, but that's frightening. So I'm going to close it. There's also this horse does not exist. There's an anime one, this waifu does not exist. But you can check those out on your own time. Here's another, okay, I can't click this. There's another really cool site for audio. It's called 15.ai. And it's made by last I saw, an anonymous MIT student, or maybe a group of students. And it's about generating audio. So we can see what kind of thing it generates here.
The last question was asked for the first time, half in jest, on May 21st, 2061, at a time when humanity first stepped into the light. The question came about as a result of a $5 bet over highballs, and it happened this way.
So that is completely generated by an ensemble of sequence-to-sequence models from a Twilight Sparkle, which I guess is a character in the show. But the really cool thing is they have an app, and you can just use this. So we can just type tech confluence is the greatest. And then we click generate. Puts it in the queue. The queue is empty right now. And then it generates the audio.
Tech confluence is the greatest.
You can change who's saying it. I guess this is the pony.
Tech confluence is the greatest.
Sometimes it'll mispronounce things and you'll have to spell things weird to try and get it to say things correctly. So you can play with this on your own time. I included some links of things I've created. I'm not going to play them in the interest of time. Cool, that came back.
Tech confluence is the greatest.
Text. Generating text. There's a lot of sites that are starting to generate text and use it within things. It's part of something called sequence to sequence. And the most recent addition to this field, maybe not the most recent, but a really popular, powerful one is called transformer networks. And there's an open source implementation of transformer networks that is cutting edge. And they include on their site, it is to writing what calculators are to calculus, which I really liked. But you can interface with them straight up on a prompt. So what you want, and it will start completing it for you. Sometimes it'll not work so great, so you just click it again and it'll generate. So it's the greatest Waco party we'll be attending in 2017. It makes a sort of sense. There's a site here called AI Dungeon, where they're basically creating a dungeon master experience, but automating it. It's like I guess I haven't signed up. It's like a Zork type deal. Like those old school text adventures. And then here's another demo when you're messing around with transformers and you just want autocomplete. Just a open canvas for you to start writing things and seeing what happens. Tab, autocompletes. And you can delete things, and I like that part, autocomplete it. Like that, so it changes the writing style to be selection instead of creation. So one more interesting thing with sequence to sequence, actually there's a lot of more interesting things with sequence to sequence. There's something called Newsnet, and it's from music. It's from OpenAI, and you can choose, you want, say, Mozart in the style of Mikkel, and it will generate it for you. It'll generate multiple of them for you. So if you need background music for a video game or anything like that, you can go to advanced settings and upload your own MIDIs to start it off, or change the style to exactly what you, or all the pre-trained styles they have. And then you can generate. If you generate it from scratch like this, it does take a while. It's running a sequence to sequence model on their servers, and the model they run is very large. So what I mean by sequence to sequence is every note is generated one after another. Well, really time series is generated one after another. And I'm not gonna wait for that. Because we're gonna tie it all together. What is happening here? What is this? Well, in 1950, Alan Turing released a paper called Computing Machinery Intelligence. And he started with, I propose to consider the question, can machines think? And he said, I shall replace this question by another. The new form of the problem can be described in terms of a game. It is played with three people, a man, a woman, and an interrogator. The interrogator is allowed to put questions to the man and the woman. The object of the game is for the interrogator to determine which of the other two is the man and which is the woman. It is the man's objective in the game to try and cause the interrogator to make the wrong identification. The object of the woman in the game to help the interrogator make the right identification. Now we ask the question, what will happen when a machine takes the part of the man in the game? Will the interrogator decide wrongly as often as when the game is played like this, as he does when the game is played between a man and a woman? These questions replace our original, can machines think? And if you notice, the diagram of the Turing test is exactly the same diagram that we're seeing with the deepfake revolution. So as we come closer and closer to passing the Turing test, we're going to see more and more, I guess, deepfakes everywhere, across everything. I want to end this on some music. And does anyone have any questions?
I love Newsnet. It's so cool.
Yeah, I can't stop playing with it.
I have one question, which is, okay, if you want to stay abreast of the deepfake revolution, are there any blogs that you would recommend following? That's your thing.
I read a lot of papers on Archive. It's I don't really read a lot of blogs. I know Reddit/r/machine learning is pretty good about highlighting important content. Cool.
We're trying to collect enough talks from you, Michael, that we can start generating them for future Tech Confluence.
That scares me. Great. Thanks for your time, everyone.
Other questions?
That was an amazing talk.
Thanks.
I have a question. Michael, what use cases are you most excited about or concerned by?
I know that a lot of people will probably use this nefariously, but I'm really excited about like someone sitting in their basement creating a television show or putting together a message with identities that they wouldn't normally and ways of speaking that they would normally not have access to. Beyond that, I think as we pass the Turing test, machines are going to become, well, they're not going to be what they are in society today. So that's a really hard question and I really like it.
Well, thanks for the talk. Very cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, should we try applause again? I'm gonna unmute everyone, see if this works.
Yay!